Hello, guys. Okay, so in math tonight, we're going to be talking about my favorite, mental math, right? That's the goal, is for us to be able to do things mentally in our brains and be able to use that to help us do math so much quicker. So that's what we're going to practice today. And our title of our journal entry is, Our title is, let's do some yellow. Mentally, meaning in your brain, add 10 or 100. And next to mentally, we're going to draw a little brain. That's a really bad brain, Miss Hargrove. Brain, because it's a really bad brain. You know what I mean? Mentally means in your brain. Just a little picture reminder for us, okay? So just a reminder that in a number, let's say that I have the number 453, okay? I have 3 places in this number. I have the hundreds place, the tens place, and the ones place, okay? So let's look at the number 10 and the number 100. Okay, so I have 3 places in the number 100 and 2 places in the number 10. I'll give you a second to let you catch up. If you need to pause, you can pause. But let's look. So in the number 10, I don't have any hundreds, but I do have tens and ones. In the number 100, I do have a hundreds place, so I have the hundreds, the tens, and the ones. Now, I want you to notice something that's similar about 10 and 100. I want you to notice, what do you see that's the same? What do you see that's the same? Well, I see that they both have a 1 to start with, right? 1 is one of their digits, and that 10 has a 0 and 100 has a 0, but it also has another 0, right? So what's the difference between them? The difference is that 10 does not have 3 digits. 10 has 2 digits. 10 does not have any hundreds, right? So technically, we don't really write, they're called leading zeros. We don't need to write leading zeros like this. Technically, there's a 0 in the hundreds place. Technically, there's a 0 in the thousands and the 10,000s and the 100,000s and the millions. There's zeros in all those places because I don't have any of that value, okay? Erase that 0. We don't need that. So let's look. So they also, something that's different is that they have a different value. Their ones are different values, right? Because they're in different places. Remember, we talked about the place that a digit is one of the numbers within our number. 3 is a digit, 5 is a digit, 4 is a digit. So our digits have different values, or how much they're worth, based on what place they're in. So the place is the hundreds place, the tens place, the ones place. The values would be 400, 50, and 3. Okay, just a little reminder. We talked about that at the beginning of the year with place value, right? So looking at this, when I add 10 or 100, guess what I don't have to do? Don't write this. Don't write this. I do not have to do this. 3 plus 0 is 3, 5 plus 1 is 6, 4 plus nothing is 4. I don't have to do that. I also don't have to do this. 3 plus 0 is 3, 5 plus 0 is 5, 4 plus 1 is 5. Guess what? I don't have to do that. You want to know why? I'll tell you why. Hold on. Because since 10 has a 0 in the ones place, I'm not adding any ones to my number, am I? And I'm not adding any ones or tens in the number 100. And all I'm adding is 100. 110. So all that's going to happen is my number, if I'm adding 100, my hundreds place will change. If I'm adding 10, the tens place will change. Everything else stays the same, okay? So watch what happens if we add 10. So you can go ahead and write this now. So we're going to start with 453. If I add 10, all I'm going to do is add 1 to the tens place, okay? What's 5 tens plus 1 more? 6, right? Everything else stays the same because I have 0 hundreds and 0 ones. I'm not adding anything to them, right? So 4 and 3. So 453 plus 10, 463. What's 1 more 10? 7 tens. Everything else stays the same. 473. See how it goes? 453, 463, 473. What's next? You know it. 483. 493. Okay, I want you to look at what you just wrote. You can pause it if you need to catch up. I want you to look at what you just wrote. What is the same in all of these numbers? The hundreds place is the same, right? What else is the same? The ones place is exactly the same. The only thing that changed is the what place? Tens place, right? So I want you to put right above here, I want you to put plus 10 so we remember that we were adding 10 there, okay? Now, here's where it gets a little bit trickier. Not really, but just a little bit trickier, okay? When I have for a 9 in the tens place and I'm adding 10 to it, how many tens am I going to have? 10 tens, right? So I had 5 tens, 6 tens, 7 tens, 8 tens, 9 tens. Now I have 10 tens. What does 10 tens equal? 100. So I'm going to go to the next 100, and I'm not going to have any tens because in the number 10, in the number 100, it's 100 and 0 tens, right? So it becomes 503, and then 513, and then 523. So this right here is where you need to just make sure that you understand that it doesn't become, don't write this, 410.3. That's a different number. That's 4,103. That's not what happens when you get to this point, okay? So what happens is it becomes 10 tens, which means we add 100, which means we have 0 tens in the number 100, right? And then our ones place stays the same, okay? All right, so let's look at what happens when we add 100. Plus 100, okay? So let's look. Let's start with 453. Now, if I add 100, what's the only place that's going to change? The hundreds place, right? So I'm going to add one to the hundreds place. What's one more 100? 5 hundreds. And guess what? I'm not adding any tens or any ones, so these stay the same. 53. Look how nice that is. 453, 553. Now we add another 100. 600s now. My ones and tens stay the same. 653. What's next? 753. What's next? 853. What's next? 953. Okay, now let's look at what we've written so far. You can pause it and catch up if you need to. What is the only place that changed when we were adding 100? The only thing that changed was the hundreds place, right? It's the only thing. The tens all stay the same. The ones all stay the same because I'm adding 0 tens and 0 ones every time, okay? So if I add nothing to something, it stays the same, doesn't it? Yeah, for sure. Now, just like over here, when we got to 10 tens, we had to make 100. Well, now we're at 10 hundreds. What does 10 hundreds equal? Think about that for a second. If you count by hundreds and you get to 900, what's 100 more? 1,000, okay? So now in the number 1,000, you can write 1,000 right here. And we're going to underline, and we're going to label. We have a new place, okay? We've got the thousands place. We're going to do T and then little h. And then we have the hundreds, capital T for tens, O for ones, okay? In the thousands place, if I have 10 hundreds, it becomes 1,000, which is 1,000 and 0 hundreds. So what happens now is that we have 1,000 and 0 hundreds, that's 10 hundreds, and our tens and ones stay the same. Okay, and then we can keep going from there. 1,153, 1,253, and so forth and so on. Okay, so that's how we count by tens and hundreds, and we do it where? In our brain, because we are mental math rock stars, right? Okay, so I want you to head over to Seesaw and do some practice. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow.